Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint an eagle. I'll be showing you step by step how to do it from start to finish. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to chat for our live show tonight, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, so here's my reference photo. I think this is going to be actually pretty easy. That's why I chose it for Tuesday night. I'm not going to go into, a ton of detail and paint every little individual part of the feathers. We're just going to kind of show you how to do it with some kind of scruffy brushes. So I'm using a 9 by 12 inch canvas panel. This is a Fredrix Pro Linen Belgian linen canvas board. And 9 by 12 inch, and I've covered it with a coat of carbon black. The brushes we're going to be using are 3/8 inch angle shader, 1/4 inch angle shader. These are the Willow's blender. Those are those kind of scruffy brushes that I was talking about. Some sort of a textured brush. I've also got a rake, 1/4 inch rake, and a fan brush. So I'll show you kind of how to use any of those brushes to do our feather textures. And then I've got a number 4 and a number 1 round for the eye details. And then I just had a large paddle brush for the, I used my large paddle brush for the background. So
is it like a light spring coat or a winter coat of paint?
Pretty.
Okay, we'll just go on to the palette. Okay.
Pretty full coat. I don't know what you're talking about, but carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna. What color is that? Yellow oxide, Indian yellow hue, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium yellow light, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, unbleached titanium, titanium white, zinc white, and this is gloss glazing liquid. Phew, I don't know why I had a hard time getting that all out tonight. All right, so let's start with the drawing. I'm centered it on the 9 by 12 inch. You could use a square canvas. It would cut it a little bit closer. You'd probably have to cut off part of this back feather, so I didn't want to do that. So I put him on a larger canvas. You can use really whatever size you want. I think this would look really cool on a really huge canvas. If I had room for it, I would do that, and my son Jordan would take it to work with him. I know he likes eagles. For a while there, he was buying eagle posters and all kinds of, he's in the military. So yeah, this is for Jordan. All right. So we're going to come in about, if you check the halfway mark, it's right about right here on that mouth. So if you come down just a little bit, kind of mark that. And then the eye is right about, if there's the half, it's probably pretty much on the third. So if you kind of come across on the third, that's sort of where our eye is, and just off from center. So just to one side of center and on the third on this side. So that's where I'd kind of start, because that's our focal point. So you're just going to want to do a circle for that, for the iris there, and then another one kind of outside that. And then the eye is going to be coming up and around. And then there's another little inner membrane that we're going to see. That's going to be yellow right there. That kind of goes around the eye. And then the top part's going to get cut off by feathers. And the feathers are going to kind of make a wedge shape and come on up like that right there. Then if you come down from the eye, the center of the pupil is kind of right where that mark on your mouth is. And let me see again where that center, it's almost smack dab in the center of the canvas, is that back end of the mouth. And then you're going to want to come up, come in a little bit, come up and around. And then curve around and come up. I'm using a water soluble. This is just a pastel pencil here. So there's that curve there. It's going to come up above the eye. So just a little bit above the eye, and it's going to stop about halfway. So from here to here, if you mark, that comes down just slightly at an angle there, that arch. And then this arch comes back up and just above the eye there. And it stops about the halfway mark between this and this. And then you're going to curve it back down. And then this part is going to match up to the back side right here of the mouth. Then for the inner part of the mouth, you're going to, let's do this part first. So this is going to be the top of the head feathers. They're going to come up and they're going to dip down a little bit and then come back up like that. And pretty much back down around like that. And so right about there, if you kind of did a little slight diagonal, that'll be the inside of the mouth. Comes almost straight down, it curves out a little bit and curves back out this way. Does not come out as far as this, so this is probably as far out as you're going to want to go right there with it. Then curve it back in. And back to here. There's a little bit of wiggly right there, but not much. And then you're just going to kind of follow that line. This part is sort of straight right there. And then there's a little bit of the bottom of the jaw that you're seeing right there. And then there's feathers coming down right here. And then they start to curve down. And then there's another set of feathers that are going to be in the dark. They're really not going to see much of, but they're there. So we'll go ahead and kind of put them there, and then we'll put them in super dark. All right, and then the inside of the mouth, there are these two little kind of wiggly lines that go all the way across like that, top of the roof of the mouth. And there's another one right there that kind of does like that. Then the inner membrane of the mouth right here. And there's a little bit of, it's really hard to tell on there, but there's a little bit of something going on there. So we'll just kind of slightly indicate some stuff on the inside of the mouth there. You could leave it black though. And then right here, you're going to see a little bit of that yellow coming through. And then there is the beak kind of ends right there. And you're seeing the tongue. And it's just real small right here. Okay. And it actually kind of sort of meets up right there. Okay. And that's pretty much it. The nose, the nostril is going to be basically right across from the eye, just a little bit in from the edge there, kind of wedged up right in here. There's a little bit of kind of a crumbly part of that beak there that you'll see, and then that nostril is kind of the size of looks like about sunflower seed or something like that. And then there's the inside of it right there. Okay. So when we start to put in our feathers, we're going to have some feathers cresting right here. So they're going to be coming this way, meeting up right here. These ones are going to come up, kind of make a point right here. And then these ones around the eye, around the beak, are also going to come straight up. And then right about the edge of the eye, they're going to start to curve over. And you're going to start seeing some go in this direction. And they're going to basically kind of flow around the eye a little bit. And then on the underside, there's just tiny little dabs. This whole area is just little tiny dabs. Oh yeah, I didn't connect that. I guess maybe I did. Little tiny dabs. And they're all kind of coming. These ones are going almost straight up to the eye, so this is just going to be basically little dots, and then these ones are going to start curving, and this is also going to follow that eye around. So we're going to have lots of little feathers. This whole area is going to be, and then when you get to that mouth, these are going to part, so it's going to do basically the same thing it did here. These are all going to kind of converge into one little section, and then they'll all start going in the same direction. So these ones are coming down, these ones are going up, and then when they meet right in here, there's a shadow right here. And then they start curving out. I'm just going to kind of do this. If you kind of draw out your direction of your feathers, it'll sort of save you some time later. You can, once you get going, you'll already have them kind of set, so you can just sort of follow your little lines. So these ones come down a little bit right here. And then if they get down here, they're going to kind of come down this way. All right, so that's our kind of basic drawing there. Let's go ahead and start to paint. So I'm going to get the 3/8" angle brush, some of my yellow oxide, and my Indian yellow. The Indian yellow is transparent, so I'm just using the yellow oxide to make it more opaque, because that's going to be our main color. You can see how transparent it is. I might actually add a little white to it. It'll help. Oops, that's zinc white. I want the zinc white's transparent too, so that won't help us. Okay, so I want to get this on here because we're going to need a couple coats. You can see how you're already still seeing that dark background. So we're going to need a couple coats of this to get it to cover that black. And when you're putting it on, I'm kind of put it on, go along the outside edge, put it on there, and then I just go back and very lightly kind of just brush out any major brush strokes or any thick spots in my paint. I'm going to get a little bit of my Cadmium Red Light and my Burnt Umber. And this area in here is a little bit darker, so I'll just go ahead and do that while I'm at it.
We got a question?
Yep.
They would like to know, is there a replacement for yellow oxide?
Yellow ochre is very similar to it, so that can work. And if you don't have that, you can just add some brown to your yellow. It's just a dull yellow. You just want to make sure that it's opaque, because you want it to be able to cover. A little bit of burnt sienna here. Keeping these moist.
Yeah, we got people from all over the world tonight.
Really?
Yeah. We've seen Romania, Scotland.
Wow.
Just Belize.
Unreal.
Australia, Canada, US.
It's amazing.
Yeah, several first-time live
Oh, that's awesome.
people. Welcome.
Yes. Glad you've joined us. Hope you enjoy our show and subscribe. Come back. Join our little family of
Misfits. Artists.
Yes. We do enjoy getting to chat with you guys every week. We didn't do our Tuesday nights for a while there, and we missed it, so it's fun. We get a whole different set of folks that can't watch during the weekend, or for some reason during the day, since we have so many different time zones. This kind of hits some of the other time zones that we miss otherwise. Mm-hmm. Getting a little bit of the darker color here. I'm just going around. I'm adding the Cadmium Red Light to just make it a little bit more reddish. And it's really actually pretty dark, so I'm going to get the Burnt Umber right in here.
I want to know who keeps burning the umber.
I don't know. Don't know, hun. All right. A little bit more of the brighter yellow here. I'm going to do right in here with that. that dark right there. Get that yellow and bring it around. And you can see like right in here, there is some of that yellow kind of peeking out underneath the feathers. So I'm just kind of very lightly fading that out right in there. And get some of that darker orangey yellow right there. Let's do the inside of the nostril part right in here. Just that little shadow area right there. I'll have to go back in and add that black back in, but we're just trying to get everything kind of covered with one coat for now. As close to the color that we want it to be as we can, but we're definitely going to have to do some adjusting. Get a little bit more of that burnt umber, or burnt sienna, I mean. Okay. And then using this color just a little bit in here for that roof of the mouth. And get some burnt umber and some black hair, maybe a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta to make it a little bit more pinkish toned. And kind of fill in a little bit of that in between there. We go. And we can always darken it back up. We're just kind of trying to get some paint down right now. So we may end up, we're definitely going to end up glazing some on top of all this later. So if we, if we put paint in where we want it black, we'll glaze over it, but at least we'll kind of have a little bit of something there to work with. So just kind of adding a little bit on the inside of the mouth there, in those areas that are really dark, with that burnt umber and black and Quinacridone Magenta right there. So just a hint to make it very, very dark. Just want a little hint of something going on there.
All right, so I said it as a joke in chat, but now the more I think of it, I'm wondering if it's the real thing.
What is the real thing?
So I said that I tried to sell burnt black, but nobody could tell the difference. And so is there truly a color, burnt black?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I've never
good.
heard of it.
There's so many different blacks. I figured, you artists are kind of
There's
wacky.
bone black. I know.
Bone black, okay.
Bone black is a color.
My bones are white, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I've never seen them personally.
I don't know. Okay, let's go back in here with that yellow, and I'm just going to use this color that's on my brush here. That's kind of got a little bit of that black and burnt umber and other stuff. It'll all kind of influence this colors up in here.
And which brush are you using right now?
This is the 3/8 inch angle brush. And get this second coat on there to get it good coverage. Get a little bit of that darker color right in here. And right along that line where there's that crack. That's really crack. I don't know what it is, but it looks like a crack. Just a little bit of different color there.
Well, don't step on it.
White. You are in an interesting mood tonight.
It's Tuesday night.
I know, you're always a little bit off on Tuesday nights.
Off.
Or not off, but a little bit more wackier than normal.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more tired, I should say. Probably. I need to get a less noisy footrest. Sounds like farts.
Blame it on the footrest. Everybody does it.
I promise. All right. So I need to work on that color on the nose. It's not quite right there, but it's getting there. And we definitely need another coat on the whole thing in general. Get a little bit of burnt umber with this burnt sienna here. Come along this side of it. Okay, so let's let that set. Clean that out. I'm going to get the number 4 round here. Yeah, 4. And some of my yellow, cadmium yellow. Started to say yellow oxide, but nope.
Somebody thinks they remember you did a little tutorial on the different blacks.
I did. What lesson was that?
Was it in your Facebook group?
No, it was in, I think it was in the black and white poppies.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You did a little sidebar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So watch all 300 videos and see if you can figure out which one it's in.
I think it's the poppies. The
Don't help them.
black and white poppies. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, somebody said elephant, maybe?
Could be. It was one of my black and white ones. I haven't done that many of them, so. All right. So I'm going to start on the inside of that pupil line and wiggle toward the outside edge. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle and dab, pretty much just dabbing. I don't want a line. I want it to kind of be sort of irregular. The area around the pupil will be pretty much solid, but that area on the outside is got some dark areas in there. So I'm just kind of dabbing it so that I have little bits of darker gray mixed in. It's going to be brightest right up near the pupil area. So right in the center there. It's not going to look anything like it's going to finish right now. So don't worry about, the finished product right off the bat here. We're just laying the groundwork for that eye to have a lot of really nice depth. We do this light color first, and then we're going to glaze over the top of it. And my glazing is just a light, thin coat of paint to give it some transparency, some depth. And I did a tutorial on animal eyes too, and I did an eagle for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you do some kick butt eyes for sure.
That was fun.
Very realistic.
That was for my $10 Facebook group. A couple of years, probably last year sometime. I can't remember when exactly, but it's in my Facebook group for patrons. Did a horse, dog, cat, alligator, bird. I think that was it. Okay, I think that's good. I probably added too much of the light, but that's all right. We'll fix it. I'm gonna use this color to do the inside of the nostril a little bit right there. A little bit right there. Get a second coat right here on this inside of the mouth. There's some highlight along this edge right there. A little bit in here. I'm just going to dab. And then fill it out. Get some of that Indian yellow. Dab that. Use that light color here and just very lightly drag it and wiggle to get these cracks. They're pretty messy, so don't have to be super careful with it. It's pretty random. And then these ones up here are actually white. And we're going to shadow a bunch of this so we don't have to worry too much of it. We're going to glaze over it to make it a little bit more toned in, you know, and fit a little bit better. But right now I'm just trying to get kind of that texture feeling in there. If I go too light, I can always tone it back down, but I'm just trying to catch all these areas where covering up all that black. And then right on the inside there, I get a little bit of pink. There's a little bit of pink membrane right there. And then mix that yellow in here. A little bit of the Unbleached Titanium with the Quinacridone Magenta. And that yellow is kind of influencing it a little bit there. We're going to fill in our tongue. And we've got something off here. There's, get some black here. A little bit of that Quinacridone Magenta and black. And coming on in here. This black curves around all the way in here. And then let's use this color with a little bit of that. Quinacridone, burnt umber, a little bit of black. You want it really dark right in here. Okay, so I'm going to put that color down, and then I'm going to grab some of that lighter color. I'm just going to blend that edge out a little bit. Just lightly going over our dark area here to just kind of tone it down. There we go. It's going to be a lot darker than that when we get it done, but that'll be good. I'm trying to go as fast as I can here tonight, so sorry if I'm moving fast. I'm just Tuesday night trying to get it.
You still got 2 hours.
The feathers will go fast. You're so funny.
No, I'm serious. But anyway, somebody asked, is it essential to varnish your paintings? And if they don't, what's the worst that could happen?
The worst that could happen would be that your painting will get dust and get stuck to the paint. So that's... Yeah, I mean, different depends on the kind of varnish you're... if it's in the sunlight, if you're going to put it in sunlight, then I would definitely use varnish that's got some UV protectant in it. That will, using yellow oxide here, or that Indian yellow color to go back over. That was my highlight area there. I just kind of put it on in the middle kind of thick and then kind of brushed out the edges of it to soften those up and put a little bit more of it right here in the center. You need to be careful because it's starting to dry. Okay, so I'll let that dry and we'll come back to it and fiddle with it a little bit more. But I see some more of this crackling in here.
Yeah.
So yes, I would definitely varnish, and there's UV protectant varnishes that will give it a little bit more protection. Don't use a varnish. Don't use like Mod Podge. I've heard people say to do that. Don't do that. Mod Podge will actually make it worse because it's sticky. It's very sticky. It's stickier than acrylic paints. Acrylic paints dry sticky too, so that's why you don't want to like put them against glass. So you don't ever want to frame it with glass sticking to the painting because it will stick and pull the paint off your canvas. And you don't want to put two acrylic paintings resting face to face because it'll do the same thing. It'll pull paint off each other. It sticks to itself, and it sticks to dust and things too. So it's just best to definitely varnish them. When I store mine, I have them, the back, the face facing this way. So, and then if I, actually I usually put the, well, grab a couple paintings for me. Right here, never mind. I got one here. I don't know, this isn't, they didn't ask about this, but so when I store them this way so that the two backs are touching, and then I put paper in between if there's going to be face to face. So if I do it this way, I've got a glassine paper in between, or parchment paper or something like that. You can also store them. This is the part, this is the ugly stage of our owl here. We're working on it. He's definitely had some rough day there. Before I've varnished them, I usually set them like this. So as long as you don't have paint on the back side here, you're okay. It won't stick. So yeah, that's my $10 level. We're doing, this is what he's going to look like when he's done, I promise. He's doing his undercoats right now. He's got his under layers on.
Close your eyes, everybody. He's just got his underpants on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hey,
Right.
Somebody asked, did you ever do some kind of a short tutorial or anything on varnishing tips?
I did. It's in my Thankful Art group on Facebook.
Okay.
Yes. And the link to that is down in the description. So
Sweet.
yes. I just realized I kind of lost. There's a shadow on the inside here that I need to put back in. Brought that highlight too far in. Okay, so I'm gonna. This is yellow oxide and Indian yellow. This is our base color still. Just going back in here and adding another layer. Get a little bit of burnt umber here. Right in there. Our cat's trying to get in. You can zoom back in if you want to, honey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would use an acrylic or acrylic based varnish that's made for acrylics. There's a lot of Liquitex and Golden both have. Those are the two brands that I use. Their varnishes.
And did you say that you want to give it a few days before you varnish to let it dry completely?
Yes, yeah. You want it to cure.
Yeah.
Even if it's dry to the touch, it's not cured for a couple, 24 hours or so at least.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a thicker painting like an impasto where you've used texture on it and it's thicker, I'd give it a week at least.
And that's all relative to where you are. If you're in Arizona, maybe faster.
True.
If you're in the jungle tropics, it might be a lot longer.
That's true.
If you're in
Good point.
Atlantis,
Good point.
probably never. Ooh, I got the sigh. Nice. I feel like I've accomplished
Trying to
something.
have a serious discussion here.
Me too. I'm serious.
Okay.
You ever try to dry paint underwater?
Mm-mm.
Not too easy.
Not tried painting underwater either. Okay. Moving on. That was Cadmium Red Light with a little bit of that yellow base. Just a little bit more of an orangey tone right there at the end of the beak. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, let's put another layer right here. So this area's got a little bit of blue tone to it, so I'm going to grab my yellow here and add a little bit of blue to it. So it'll understandably be green-ish. Get a little bit more blue there. Just in the shadows there. Okay. A little bit of burnt umber, or burnt sienna, I mean, with my yellow oxide here, and add it to the inside right here. Just making sure every part of that beak has got a second coat there, because some of that wasn't covered with a second coat yet. And a little bit of white on the tip of my brush here. Just gonna draw that I'm just dabbing that off so it's not quite as bright. There's going to be some darker, get some of that darker tone in here. I'm just dabbing it with the tip of my brush here, having it around there, and then let's get a really dark burnt umber, burnt sienna. Got a little bit of that yellow in there. I'm going to put it right on here, right on the inside of that nose right there. And right on the inside of the nostril coming on the outside of it. So it kind of fades to the inside. So I'm going to get a little bit of that middle color there, pull that up. Okay. I'm going to go back over that black area. I'm just trying to get the area around it. Here, let's go ahead and put that back in there and you can see better what we're doing. There we go. Okay, so coming down from right there, from that curve on the inside of that, there's a shadow right there. Just set my color down and then I'm wiping it away a little bit to get my lighter color and come around it on this side. And I could use a smaller brush if I need to. That actually, there we go. Okay, let's shadow the tongue a little bit. We've got some of that color still left in here. I'm going to do a little bit of blue in this front part of the tongue. It's got a little bit of a blue tone. I won't paint it blue, but you can put a little bit of that in there. Like if you get it painted and you're like, that's a blue tongue, then you've probably gone a little too blue. You should just have a little bit of a purple tone. Okay, and then this back area here, I'm going to get that Quinacridone Magenta and some burnt umber. And go nice and dark back here. Spencer needs to be on cat duty. Cat's trying to get in the studio again. She's figured out if she scratches on the doors, we'll let her in. Okay, so now I'm just mixing the highlight color with that shadow color to get kind of an in-between, and I'm pinning that in kind of in between right there to just blend out that shadow right there, and adding a little highlight right there. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of color up in here. Okay, get that yellow, that a little bit of that brighter yellow, Indian yellow, yellow, cadmium yellow, medium, and white. And right in here, there's the highlight. Get that darker color. Just tapping back over that to soften that up. And then I'm going to get some black with my burnt umber. And very lightly kind of, actually let's get a little glaze too. This will help it go on a little bit softer, a little bit more transparent. Right there, a little bit right in here. So really dark right there. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm just going to smush out those edges a little bit with some damp brush. Just blending out that wet. Just a little bit. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Get a little bit more of that black and shape out that nose again. I kind of keep painting over my sunflower seed nostril. Get that bright yellow. Get that right there. Okay, so let's use a little bit of this Indian yellow in the eye. I'm going to go around the iris and put some lines of this in there, tinting it. The brighter yellow. Some burnt umber here, and I'm going to put some little zigzaggy lines in with that. Just the very tip of my brush here. Keep it very random. Boy, that looks creepy when you zoom in like that. Looks weird. Okay, so I'm going to take that light yellow and I'm just going to kind of crisp up the inner edge just slightly. Make it a clean line. I can use the black to do that as well, which I probably will, because it's a little bit narrow. I came in just a little bit farther than I needed to with that. Use that black and kind of widen that out just a little bit. There we go. All right, we'll give that a rest there for a minute, and let's go ahead and start painting the feathers. So I'm going to get a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium and Titanium White here, and I'm going to start right up in here, right under that nose area, and I'm just going to start dabbing in. I've got my... Actually, let me use this brush here. That'll get smaller dabs, 1/4 inch. I'll try this. I'm just going to tap. There we go. Very small little white. You can see how that yellow is peeking through. That's what you want, so don't do it too thick. There we go. This whole area is just going to be stippled. That's what it's called when you tap up and down, straight up and down with a stiff bristle brush to get this kind of scruffy lines of stippling. All right, I'm going to get the burnt umber, and I'm going to stipple with that. Both in the same area there. I may need to wait for the one to dry because they're kind of combining, which you don't want. So, and then as we come out here, we're starting to see some lines. So as we get closer to the eye, I'm going to start pulling a little bit, so I get some direction to my feathers.
We have
And if I get it too light, I can always glaze over it. Yep.
question.
Okay.
This person says, I notice that you do mostly realism. Do you find loose painting or abstract difficult? They ask because they themselves find it that they're perfectionists, so it's a little difficult.
Yeah, I tend to, even when I try to simplify, it's harder to, I have to really focus to simplify. It's a much more, to be much more intentional about it, you know. I think it's just because, you know, when it's realism, I can see where I'm at, you know, I don't have to I can check myself. When I'm kind of simplifying, it's a little bit, you kind of have to sit back, and it's a little bit harder doing it unless I've done it ahead of time, because it's easier to kind of see what it's going to look like if you kind of step back from it and look at it from a distance every now and then, and that's hard to do when I'm doing these live shows. Just don't have time to stop and look at it, you know. And like I said, if I painted it ahead of time and I know kind of the process, then it's okay. But if I haven't, then it does tend to be a little bit more tricky. Okay, so you can see I'm just kind of lightly skimming, very lightly, so that I'm leaving that black. I want that black showing through, because because I don't want to have to paint all my black feathers in there. And that's gonna. Okay. But there's actually, I am kind of covering too much over. There's like a black area kind of right underneath this. I need to put in my yellow around the eye. Before I get too much farther. Okay, so an hour in. I'm trying, hun. It's going to be tight. It's going to be, I don't know.
Do not worry about me.
Yeah,
You do it right. That's the main point.
Okay, thanks.
These people really don't care if I sleep or not. Especially the ones tomorrow and forevermore. They're like, what?
Yeah.
What is he talking about? I'll just go get some Halloween candy to snack on.
Okay. Yeah, we've already started stocking up for Halloween. We get about a bazillion trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood, so we have to buy in bulk. We sit out there for about 3-4 hours and just literally have to sit on our front porch and just hand out candy because there's so many trick-or-treaters that come through. But we enjoy it.
Sorry.
Okay, and the yellow. Cashmere. Somebody's getting fed her dinner. Okay, so going around here, burnt umber, burnt sienna on this part, mixed in with my yellows. And then this was just that yellow that I've been using for the beak and everything. It's going to take a couple coats. I actually think it comes in a little bit more. A little bit more narrow right there. And then this below it is all black under here. So I need to put black in. Covered up some of my black. So do this part first. Do the around the eye first before you start these feathers in here. You won't have to have the problem. Just stippling with that black. What?
They make the packages so hard to open.
I know.
I expect a small child to open
I
these
heard
things.
that they did that on purpose because it's like something about it triggers the sound, like triggers the
frustration.
No, the memory of candy. It's kind of like the candy sound, So when you hear that sound, you know you're getting something good. Just going over with black here. There we go. It is very loud down though, I have to say. Just do it. Just rip the Band-Aid. Just like slowly.
I haven't worked that hard for 3 Whoppers in my life.
Between you and Cashmere tonight. Okay. There we go. And then this whole area up here is dark. Or the top of our eye. And I think that's ready for us to go ahead and glaze it. So I'm going to get my angle brush here and use the burnt sienna, my glazing liquid, and a little bit of the cadmium red light, a little bit of my Indian yellow. So I'm trying to make kind of an orangey yellow here. Oh, now she's throwing up. She just brought it over there so we could hear her do it. Oh my gosh. She's bulimic. Seriously, our cat. Okay, so I've loaded it on the tip here. Let me get a little bit of water and just push off that back end of it. And then I'm going to go right around the edge. So I want the color to be dark around the outside edge and then fade to nothing on the inside. And I'll probably do this 2 or 3 times before I get it to where I want it to be. That's pretty good for our first go around. I can see our eyes came a little bit far out here. So get a little bit of black and burnt umber. I need to let it dry though. You okay?
We've got a used cat for sale.
2 used cats for sale.
2 used cats for sale.
Her and Oliver both. I'm just going to use that right there. Wipe that off so that it's thinner. I'm going to use it along that edge of the beak there. This is burnt umber and black. Oh, I'm off camera. So I used it up under here and right there. See how that kind of makes it almost disappear right there. And then I'm going to use it up in here.
So somebody's asked, how do you know what colors to choose? For instance, like the undercolor for the beak.
I just kind of try to see what the tones are overall, the main color that I'm seeing, and then add to that, light and dark. Do the same thing here. Just darken up that tip a little bit, and a little bit right in that little area right there. Maybe not that dark. Just get some water here. Just gonna tap that off. If I can catch it while it's still wet, I can adjust it. So there we go. That's better. All right, let's get a little bit of that burnt sienna and burnt umber. And I'm just doing it on the tip, just like I did before, so that way I can kind of control it. It's just toning that. I'm not quite floating because I'm not really being super careful about how I'm loading my brush, but I'm sort of floating. If you're familiar with that technique, that's pretty much what I'm doing. Right, so just kind of messed that up, muddied it a little bit, so it's a little dirty-ish. And let's see, I want to get a little bit of cadmium yellow and I'm gonna switch brush. Actually, let me use this brush. I think I can get kind of a dry brush with this. Let me put another highlight on my beak there. Get some your beak.
It's the last one.
Really loud.
I know.
All right, white and cadmium yellow here, and it had a little bit of the unbleached titanium, wiping most of it off. And I'm gonna need more white. Wipe most of it off. There we go. Just dabbing. When you do this dry brushing technique, you want to keep moving. Don't scrub in one place too long or you'll lift your paint off. So just be careful about that. All right, then I'm going to use this color red here. And I need to tone that down in there. I'm going to get a little bit of my Indian yellow and just going to dab over this whole area right in here to tone down that part of the beak a little bit. And I'm going to do it up in here too, kind of tone some of that. Lighter color is still in there, so it's, but you see how it's tinting that white? I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of subtle. And let's get a little bit of that white. I'm going to go back in here and dab just along that outer edge of the mouth and just a couple places where I want a really bright highlight. And that was a little bit brighter than I needed it right there. So I'm just going to grab some Indian yellow and tone that back down right there. But there's a highlight that brought that part of that lip right back out. And getting a little bit of Indian yellow and yellow oxide there. Go. And then there's a kind of a dark discolored area right there. Okie dokie, let's work on another. Actually, let me do a little bit while I'm thinking about it right here on the inside of the mouth. A little bit of burnt umber, burnt sienna. So right here, I need to darken up that crease area right there. And then right up underneath that whole area, right under that lip, there's a dark shadow right there and right in here. Indian yellow here to just tap it off. Okay. Very good. Get that glazing liquid. And get a little water. And then just dab off that back end where you want it to be clean here. And we'll kind of clean off that back end just a little bit. And that's a little bit too dark. So I'm going to wipe that off and just come back in with water. And you can see how I wiped it on my towel, so I'm not going in with really thick water. I'm just a damp brush. There we go. Blend that out, so I'll put a shadow along that top bridge. And then let's use this along the outside of the iris as well. All the way around. And right where we want it really dark right here, I need to clean up the outside of my eyeball. I kind of got it off center right there. It's a little more oval than round, so I'm just cleaning out the outside edge there, making sure that it looks the right shape. That's good. And then I can use this and just dab just a little bit in some of those areas where we have our veins in the eye. Just little teeny tiny bits of this black. And this top area is almost all black all the way down to the pupil, but we're going to slowly introduce it. I'm going to probably do at least one more, maybe two more glazes on there. And I want to do a little bit of a glaze on the inner eye. Get a little bit of that Indian yellow and cadmium red light here. And I'm really just kind of outlining just the inner pupil. Tiny, tiny little bit of a color. All right, let's keep on going with our feathers now. Actually, no, let's do a little bit more right here on this, and then we'll get our feathers in. Yellow, Indian yellow, white. Okay. And just dabbing. And get a little bit of that. What is that color? Yellow oxide there. A little bit of the orange and burnt sienna for around this side. Just do my second coat on here on this outer area of the eye. And then grabbing that black and burnt umber here. Do little dabs on the inside of that rim, just a little bit. And outline it. Mix those two colors together so I have a little bit of darker color just to come around the outside. Not quite black, but almost right there. Okay, and then let's do this area really dark. Right up through there. Okay, I want to shadow our tongue just a little bit more. A little bit of the black. Quinacridone Magenta, a little bit of the glazing liquid. I'm just going to go in here and add that. How you doing, hun?
Doing good.
Hanging in there.
How you doing? Good job. So this is the ugly stage of a parakeet.
Of the what? Of the parakeet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, grabbing the white now. We're gonna get going on these feathers. I really want to kind of start on the outer edges, because these will be the farthest away, and do the overlapping on top of them. So I'll kind of pick my outer areas to work on. And these outer feathers are a little bit, oops. A little bit larger, a little bit longer. So I'm going to use blue, burnt umber, acrylic gray, more blue than gray, and then my white will be my outer edge feather color. And we're definitely going to glaze over these, so don't worry if you go a little bit too bright. It will be a little bit bright because we're going to glaze over these. So this outer edge especially. And I thought I might switch to my larger brush, but I don't think I need to. I think these are about the right size, so just making sure that I'm getting them in the right direction. That's the main thing. And these are getting nice, good texture and leaving lots of space in between them, so got lots of black showing through. Now you can see I'm starting to overlap. And if I want to create kind of, there's some dark lines here, you know, like kind of mixed in. So where I want that to happen, I'm going to go on either side of those areas. So I'm going to kind of do my highlights sort of in a line to get that black area. But then where I want them to be a little bit more random, I'm going to go in between those dark areas. Does that make sense? So where I want them to be kind of integrated and looking like they're, you know, doing like that. And then sometimes I'm doing like that so that I get those dark lines in between. So just kind of look at your reference photo, and there's just a few little areas where you're going to have some dark little areas, and we can glaze that in too. So don't worry about it if you kind of cover over some of the areas that you wanted to be dark. We can get those back in. This is the Willow Splendor, 1/4 inch. And I'll show you how this looks with a rake brush. With a rake brush, you have to use thinner paint, so you have to wet it down. This brush is so textured, it's heavy. The bristles are thick, or not thick, but they're sturdy. And so they don't bend as easily, so you don't need as much water. But with these, you have to add water because they're just so fragile and kind of thin. So these are going to give you a much thinner, finer line to your feathers, which we may want around the mouth here. So we'll do some down here with this. See how tiny you can get these little, but you have to just add a little bit extra water to get it to work. So you have to kind of reload more often too. Let me do it in here because there's a lot of black kind of working its way through, so this will leave a lot more black showing than this brush would. And I'm going to use this for this little eyelash area right down here. Try that again. Set it down and just very carefully, teeny tiny little eyelashes. What?
Oh, somebody had asked, how many times we paint live, and said, each Tuesday and Saturday, twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, pretty much every time we paint, we're live.
That's true.
Yep. And then Frank said, when we paint dead, that's a problem.
You may have to prepare for the zombie apocalypse if that happens.
That would have been in a different Walking Dead show, for sure.
Right.
They go around trying to paint everything.
The virus makes you very artsy.
Frames. Frames.
It's good.
Thank you.
Okay. Some of these areas are almost pure white here, so some of these areas around the nose I'm really filling in pretty thickly. There's very little black showing through. Oh my gosh, that cat. So she threw up, now she's like, I need more food. I'm hungry again. Come let me in. Okay. So these are coming this way, right about the nose, and then right in here somewhere they kind of crest and back. So there's a little dark shadow right in there. Okay, it's working out. Now I'm using the white closer to the face because this area is a little bit brighter right in here. These feathers are a little bit shorter around the eye. And then they start dipping down. Okay. Very small, short. I'm holding my brush on the out on the side now for these ones because these are smaller, thinner. And I'm going to go back in here and glaze over the top of these so there I get that black line back in there because there's kind of a black line right through here that I kind of painted out a little bit. Getting a little dry. Okay, we're almost done. Kind of comes up around the cheekbone here, so there's some movement right here. Kind of want to capture that swoop right here, and then this swoop right here. Very light right here. These are all going to be kind of shadowed, so it can be a little bit darker if you want. You can use the gray on these. Doing them thinner again. Now some of these are starting to crisscross down this way. It's working out all right. I'm going to get this one's down here. Whoops.
Whoops, what?
I looked up and then my brush touched down where I didn't want it. Renegade.
Somebody asked what brush could they use if they don't have a Willow blender.
You could use a, well, I showed you the rake brush a little bit ago. We can try it with the fan brush. It'll have a little bit of a different technique with the fan brush because of course you can't do it this way, so you'll have to hold it in an angle and do it kind of out this way. And then you can do some in the opposite direction too if you want to get real fancy about it. See that? So, but I don't want to change the type of brush stroke right now because I've got it all kind of the same going on. So yeah, I don't want to change the look halfway through the painting. Here. So down in here, just going really light. I say that and I put a big old brush stroke in there, but longer. Okay, so this is all going to be shadowed in here. We're going to glaze all over all of that. It'll be all dark. Let's get some more white here. And this is where we can actually, if you want to get more detailed, you could get a liner brush or something like that. And do that instead. Thank you. You can put in some lines for the some of these feathers have strong lines in them. Come on, my paint's get dry. I want to cooperate. So we can go in here and kind of add some white lines over a few of these areas to emphasize some of them, and then some of them are actually dark lines. So I'm gonna use this and do some dark lines too. So there's some, get some burnt umber. Do some little and get a little bit of black with it. Okay. So going over these areas with the darker black here. Adding some of those lines back over the top of a few areas there. Especially down around here. And all in through here. Okay, let's finish our eye. I want to do one more glaze around the outside of it. Yellow Oxide, burnt sienna, a little bit of cadmium red light here. And then I'm getting my burnt sienna, or burnt umber, I mean, glazing liquid. I'm going to use it to glaze just the outer edge. Keep it transparent so you can see those under layers, but you want it almost completely black up in here. Get a little bit of black with my glazing liquid. I'm going to add it just right up into those feathers right there. Across that top part of the eye. There we go. So it makes him look like he's kind of squinting at us. And then glaze over that yellow part right there. And right up there. There we go. We're whispering now. We're getting close to it. Sneaking up on it. Sorry, that's my quirk. I don't know why I do that. I start to whisper when I get close to the end. I am aware of it. I try not to, but I still do it every time. Every time. Oh well. You get what you pay for, right? Okay. So just kind of trying to darken up that little area right there, right around the base of that. And just a shadow a little bit on top of that. Top of the nose, just a little bit. Where it goes around the corner there. Just a slight shadow right there. And right in here. Alright, so I'm going to get the smaller of the brushes. I've got 2 brushes in this hand that I don't need. Alright. Make sure that's dry. In my Zinc White, it's transparent, so you could use titanium white if you don't have Zinc White. Just add water and maybe a little glazing liquid to make it a little bit more transparent. I'm going to use my blue. Mix that in. And I'm going to paint a right in here. Paint a triangle. And 2 dots. Use a little bit more of my blue. And I'm going to get some titanium white. A little bit more of a detail right in there. And a little bit on each one of these. Pulling that out a little bit. Okay, go and zoom out there. See how that looks. Yeah. That's good. All right, let's glaze and we'll be done. And I can spend more time on those feathers, but I'm not going to. It's late, and I might add, you might add a few more layers in there if you want to. Fill it in a little bit better in some areas. And I may end up doing that once I glaze. I'll know better kind of where I want to do it once I glaze. Getting black and blue here. And I've got lots of glazing liquid with it. Nice and dark. And we're going to pull in from the outside here. Just glaze those outer edges. And if I use the point of my brush here, I can kind of get in between some of these feathers, and that way I don't have a straight line in there. I want kind of some of these feathers to be a little bit brighter than others. So I can target specific areas that I want to be a little bit darker, like right in here. Some of these areas I want to go a little bit more solid black, so maybe a little bit less glazing liquid. I want it a little bit more opaque. I don't want it totally opaque, but some of these areas I want a little bit more coverage. Looks like he's got eyeliner. And this little area in here is pretty dark. So I'm just going to darken that whole area up there. Get in that dark bit of feathers that are right in there. Kind of swoop down a little bit more. I think it's kind of more down in here. There we go.
Thanks for everybody who played what Angela is going to use for glazing tonight. We had no winners, so the jackpot carries over to next show.
What Angela's going to use for glazing?
Yep.
What are you talking about?
Well, people were guessing what colors you're going to use for glazing, and nobody got it right, so...
What colors did they think?
Raw umber, burnt umber, I don't know, black. They had black, but nobody had blue and black.
Ah.
So, like I said, the jackpot carries over.
That's awesome. I love that. What weird color will she use this time? Look real closely at the reference photo. There's a lot of blue in there. A lot of blue in these feathers. And that's a really normal color for white shadows to have, is blue. And it adds a lot of richness to the tone of it too. It's almost actually purple in parts, but I didn't want it to be purple. I figured blue's better. So, and back in here I'm really starting to load it up thicker with more of the black, especially through in here. There's kind of an area that's almost pure black, and then there's some of the lighter feathers kind of peeking through at the back end of it, right back in here. So And again, kind of going with the direction of the feathers when I do this so that I don't get a straight line. You don't want to, when you're glazing, you don't want to have, like if I was to glaze this way, it would be all wrong because then I would have these weird stripes in where I don't want them. So glaze in the direction of your feathers and you'll get more natural looking glaze. Spencer's like, when are you gonna end? I'm almost done, Spence. Oh, he's like, what's for dinner? Poor guy.
Yeah,
As soon as his older brothers left the house, it was just kind of like we just gave up.
we stopped eating.
We stopped doing regular meals as a family. Sad, poor Spencer. Of course, right now we have no kitchen, so we have an excuse. But Tuesday nights are pretty much normally like this, anyways. Kitchen or no. I'll bring in that feathers there a little bit more dark. Oops. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to do just a little bit more white, just in a few strategic spots, some really carefully chosen areas so that we don't overdo it. But like right in here, I feel like there's a little bit brighter. These will really like pop out the areas that we want to emphasize, so we can get some nice bright whites.
Hey, somebody's asked what can they use if they don't have glazing liquid?
You can use water, but you'll probably want to have some sort of medium involved. If you use water, you're gonna need to use a paint that's maybe not heavy body acrylic, but maybe a paint that's a thinner paint. So like a craft acrylic or something like that, because the heavy body acrylics are highly pigmented and they don't do well when you add too much water. They don't stick. Now with glazing, since it's your last layer, usually it's not as big of a deal, but if you're going to have several layers of glaze, like if I'd done the eye with a color that wasn't hold on, let me think here. I want to get this right. Break for thinking. Okay. If I had done the just water instead of the glazing liquid, when I did the second or third layer, it would have lifted the under layers, or it could have at least. There's a potential for that. And that happened a couple of weeks ago when we did the mountain with the girl on the beach and the mountain in the background. When I put the mountain on, I did it fairly thin, and then when I went to do a second coat on it, it just lifted it completely off. And that's because I used water instead of glazing liquid with it. So it's just, that's why we use it. Okay, so I'm just kind of... Sorry, hon, I know you're tired.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Seriously.
Hey, are you yawning?
That's okay. It's about like, oh gosh, let's go.
Okay.
So like a student grade paint, like a basics or something like
Yeah,
that.
that'll do a little bit better than the if with water than the than the heavy body acrylics. Yes, it will.
Could they use matte medium instead of glazing liquid?
I wouldn't, just because it's matte and well, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't hurt, I guess. The thing was, like, if you used matte medium, if I use matte medium over the top of this, it's a shiny black, so I would have to use it over the entire thing, because if I used it along the edges here, where the shiny black and the matte medium met, you would see a line. So anywhere that I glazed would have a outline. So, which would disappear mostly when you varnish, so it's not that big of a deal, but you just have to be aware that that's going to happen. So you'll be able to see where you glazed if you use the matte medium. Which we can kind of see it in here anyways, because this glazing liquid is gloss, so you can kind of see it. Just more down in here. I didn't do a real good job of feathering that out. So I'm looking at my reference photo over there, and you can see how it's white right along that strip right there. So I want to get this a little bit whiter right there. Just a little bit less of the black overlapping right in here. Yeah, that's better. Kind of that cheek area, catching a little bit more of the light right there. And then up on the forehead. And if you do too much, you can always glaze back over it again. So, that's the beauty of glazing, and it's really easy to kind of correct. All right, I think I'm done. What?
I'm not falling for it. Not gonna do it.
Okay.
One big brood in at this juncture.
Gonna glaze right here.
Told you.
A bit more black right there. I'm just gonna bring that black glaze out a little bit. A little bit more right back in here too. You see anything I missed? No? Okay.
Bandana, maybe?
Oh my god. Oh no. I'm tired.
Nobody heard that one. I wasn't on mic.
You weren't on mic?
No.
Oh no. So they think I'm just laughing at
Like,
myself.
what did he say? I said a bandana, maybe?
Yeah, that's what he's missing. Oh my gosh. That's classic.
You can see it, can't
I
you?
can see it. I keep picturing it. Oh my gosh. It would fit right here. Just perfectly.
And I will say that I'm very disappointed in all your people who are part of your Thankful Art Facebook groups.
Why?
I have seen 0 skulls with comb overs. So
You did say to post those, didn't you?
yes, I did.
Okay, well, get right on that. All right, I'm gonna quit. I like that. I think it turned out all right. Let me sign it. Well, we got super chats.
Yeah, we do.
Because you're awesome.
We have a few super chats tonight.
Nice.
Let me go back here and find them real quick. The first super chat was from Duana, and she says, "Thanks, Angela. A really beautiful eagle."
Oh,
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
And then from Krista, no special message on that one, but thank you very much,
Thank
Krista.
you, Krista.
And from Clarine, no special message on that one, but just prior to the donation, she said, "I'm in love. Thank you
Aw.
so much."
Hey. You are very welcome. Thank you guys so much for your donations. That's really generous.
Wait a minute, I get corrected
Means a
again.
lot.
It's Dwayna.
Dwayna.
Yeah, I got it wrong last time.
Oh.
I apologize for all the times I will continue to get it wrong for. I'll just let you know.
Why we put him in charge of pronouncing names, I don't
Yeah.
know, but... All right, there's our signature there. I made it kind of small tonight. I don't know why, but... I love him. He's so cute.
Yeah,
He
it came
looks
out
a little
pretty awesome.
mad, but I don't know what he's fierce.
He's yelling, "Free bird!" with his bandana.
You can put it right here. Okay, please do that, somebody. I want to see it. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next
So
time.
hold on.
What?
Let's say what's doing Saturday and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah, Saturday we're going to be painting. What are we painting?
The deer in the forest, I think. Or something like that.
Yes, yep, we sure are. That'll be a fun one.
And if you don't think you can draw, okay, there's patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. For $1, you get access to the traceable, not only for this painting, but for all the paintings going back to February 2017.
Yep. Good job, hon.
And then the bonus video this past Sunday is $5 level and above.
Yes.
Still available.
Yeah, let me show you that one.
And it's for all the bonus videos that we've done, not just this one here. So you get access to all of them.
Here's the bonus video that we did on Sunday.
I'll zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good. I like it. So that was a $5 level from Patreon. But we've got a bunch of like more, in-depth. We do kind of longer videos and more in-depth ones with those folks. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time. Bye.